Welcome back. I'm actually back at home base. Got back a couple weeks ago from Utah. It's kind of funny. I think I went through a little decision fatigue and was like, I'm not sure where I want to go next. I'm going to head home. I have a couple of doctor's appointments, one for my foot, dentist appointment. Uh, Got to renew my allergy medication, and then got to get the hair done. So want to get all that out of the way, and then I'm going to head back out up to the Midwest. I'm actually going to head up to Indiana and Michigan. I can't wait to get back to Michigan. It's so gorgeous in the summer. And I actually was just down in Austin. My daughter went out of town, so I went down to look after her cat, and I took the van. Stayed at a Corps of Engineers campground. I didn't film anything down there, other than, I'll stick a little clip here of her cat, Dolly. Dolly's a sweetheart. I didn't bring Misty with me on that trip because Misty gets really upset if I pay attention to other cats. And I thought if I come back in the van and I, have Dolly on me, she's going to be really upset. So, plus it was really hot. Texas is already preheating, which is my cue to get out of here. But what I wanted to talk about today, I did want to mention too, I did video this a little bit, and then because I was planning to do another video and then it just kind of never came together, but I did find another great boondocking spot, and I'll put some clips in here of that in Utah. Actually, I would have stayed a couple nights, but there was supposed to be some rain, and I didn't know how that dirt, like if it would get super muddy, and I didn't want to risk getting stuck. But I'll put some clips of it in here. Gorgeous spot. And I'm really into finding these boondocking spots now. But what I wanted to talk about today actually is I've had the van now I've had the Neuvo for about 5 months. Traveled in it a lot. I think I've probably been in it more than I've been out of it in that 5 months. And so I kind of wanted to give you an update. What do I think about it? Do I have any regrets? Would I do it? Would I switch vans again? Did I do the right thing and not keep the Beyond? The first thing I'm going to start with is the chassis. I got a lot of feedback that I wasn't going to like the chassis. I was going to regret not having the Ford. There's a lot of talk out there about the three chassis, because really it's three. You have a choice of the ProMaster, the Transit, or the Sprinter. And each serves a really good purpose. The ProMaster is the most affordable of the three. It is also the smallest in terms of length. I say that obviously there's a shorter Transit and a shorter Sprinter, but typically what you see, it's the smallest, generally speaking, of the three. The big difference is on the interior. When it comes to build out, it is probably the easiest to build out, I think, for builders. It's a little more boxy. The Sprinter is the most narrow of the three. The Transit is the tallest interior, not including the ProMaster super high roof. Now, and I say that because the super high roof is taller on the inside than the Transit. Right now, Neuvo, to the best of my knowledge, is the only one building out anything on the super high roof. So when you're looking at other builders, if you are comparing a ProMaster to a Transit, the Transit's going to be the taller interior. Like I said, the Sprinter is probably the narrowest. Both the Transit and the Sprinter tend to kind of angle in as they go up. So that, again, you're losing some where, obviously there's some angling in here on the ProMaster, but it's a little bit boxier. So it does give the builder more room to work with. So what do I think of the ProMaster, and do I regret it? I actually really like it. I'm surprised, because honestly I was worried about that too. While I was waiting for the van to be built, I'm like, is this going to be good? Am I going to regret not having the Transit? The Transit definitely has much more power. That's, absolutely, it's probably got the best engine of the three. Now I have not driven the Sprinter or ever owned a Sprinter, so I can't speak from that standpoint. I can only just say what I've heard from people. I have heard that it does feel underpowered. And I've heard that about the new one with the all-wheel drive, because it's a 4-cylinder diesel. Now, I'm sure other people will say no, it handles great. It's, so I'm not gonna go too far into that, because I don't know, because I can't speak from my own experience. I can only compare the Transit to the ProMaster. So comparing those two, yes, the Transit definitely has much more power, especially when it comes to your acceleration point when you're going from, stopping and starting. I do have to give this a little more gas to get going, but that's something I just, I'm mentally aware of anyway. Now, I will say the Beyond, sometimes, it took a little bit too. They're not sports cars. They're not going to go 0 to 60 in half a second. And you're not going to want to try to go 0 to 60 in half a second. They're tall vans that, lumber along basically. So, you're not going to get a sports car experience out of either one. You are going to get more oomph from starting at 0, like merging into traffic and things like that with the Transit. That's not to say that I can't do that in the ProMaster. I just, push the gas a little harder, and I can get on the highway. I mean, it's not like somebody has to push me on the highway or anything like that. But that is something to consider if that's a big deal to you. It's not a huge deal to me. I've found the drive to be comfortable in it. When I first brought it home, I mean, I drove 9 hours in one day in it. I think the second day or was the second day or third day that I owned it. Not a problem. I was just as comfortable in it as I was in the Transit, and I will say the Beyond was extremely comfortable for long drives also. The one thing that's not comfortable to me for long drives is a car. So neither one of these had that experience. I mean, I've been comfortable in both of them for long drives. It's one of the things that I absolutely love about it is the turning radius. I'm able to, I almost feel like I can turn on a dime. I mean, obviously not quite. It's, a 21 foot vehicle. So, that's tall. So again, I'm not spinning it around, but I can get in and out of spots that I couldn't, necessarily do with the Transit, just because of what I would need to do to try to turn around. So I've been able to park in a few places I couldn't park the Transit. And that's kind of nice. It's, I don't know. I actually like the infotainment system better. Now I still use CarPlay, but, settings wise and stuff, I actually like it a little bit better than Ford Sync. Ford Sync was a little squirrely. And that was just my experience. I don't know if other people have had any experiences with it or not like that. For me, there were times I'd have to reboot the system because it either wouldn't come on or, I'd have issues with it. In fact, at one point I had to have, thankfully, I had a warranty, so it covered it, but they had to replace a module that was like $1,100. Actually, I think it was like $1,300. So I wasn't thrilled about that, but at least it was covered under I had an extended warranty. But other than that, so far, both vehicles, I'm happy with either one, and I am very happy with the ProMaster. I don't really feel, like I've lost out. Now, I will say I do miss the all-wheel drive. Of course, the all-wheel drive means crappy turning radius, but I do miss it from a standpoint of just that little extra, not worrying quite as much, am I going to get stuck? And that is something to consider. If you are someone who, you're still thinking about a van and what kind of van, and you think you really want to go off-road down like the dirt roads that are questionable if it's even a road kind of thing. In all honesty, I think the only vehicle that's the best for that is the Sprinter. I mean, you can do some of that in a Transit with all-wheel drive. But the Sprinter, in terms of off-road capabilities, lift kits, aftermarket things, there's more for the Sprinter than there is for anything else. But that would really be my only caveat. If like you're just like, there's no way I'm going to spend my life, on paved roads, then yeah, maybe look at a Sprinter or think about a Sprinter, or something built on a Sprinter. But other than that, I think the ProMaster is just as capable as the Transit. Like I said, I'm just a little bit more mindful, after getting stuck in the mud at my friends, Ricky and Vicky, in Louisiana. Hi, if you're watching this. And yes, and everybody in the Beyond group always asks me, is this the spot you got stuck in? So yeah, yeah, it's gotten around. Anyway, and that was kind of a little bit of an extenuating circumstance. They had, 7 inches of snow that melted right into the ground, and then the following week it was warm and humid, so nothing evaporated any of that moisture. And so, yeah, would the Beyond have gotten stuck? I would say probably about 95% sure that it wouldn't have gotten stuck. There's always that off chance it still could have. But again, with the front wheel drive, the weight being in the back, it just, it is what it is. So I just have to make sure I have traction boards. And I even have like a little shovel, and then that's just, you should carry those things anyway, because you never know. And so I'm just a little more mindful. If I'm going to go, like I did the boondocking, I read the reviews. If they say, oh, it's sandy, or you definitely need all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, then I look for another spot. If people say, oh, I got in there with my Class A or my Class C, then I'm like, okay, I could probably get into there too. Or even getting out and walking ahead to see, like, okay, what does the road look like? What is it, sandy? Is it, am I going to get stuck? Is there mud? So it's just being mindful of those things. Other than that, I'm very happy with it. I thought, is the lower ceiling going to bother me? That doesn't bother me. Again, I'm good with the chassis. I'm happy with it. Okay, so moving on from the chassis. Neuvo. What do I think about Neuvo? Having the Neuvo, quality issues, things like that. Knock on wood, I have not had any major issues. I did have a few issues, actually kind of all centered around the one thing, which was my external solar port. When they put it in, he didn't realize the way he installed it. He didn't put in a second MPPT. So he added that, which is a controller. So he added that. I have not tried my solar panels yet, which I need to do. But once he did that, I think that was like the biggest issue. I mean, I had a few issues with, initially the bottom drawer would slide open, and then a couple times my pantry would come open. Again, these were easy fixes. And it's something that they were latching. It's just that once there was items in there and the weight of the items, which, how do you test for that or test drive it? So I'm not too upset about that. And again, easy fixes. Everything else has been great. I think the build quality feels as good as the Coachman. I mean, it's on that same level. Very nice build quality. Everything feels really solid. There's no rattles in here. The only rattles that are in here are my stuff that I just need to either, like I've got bottles up here, so I'll hear the bottles. I don't know if it's this picture or I have a little thing I got in Utah. Sometimes, I don't know if it's like that making noise. One of those two things rattles when I drive. But the build itself, I don't hear any rattles. Just really, really nice. Floor plan, I love this floor plan. I like the feeling, and it really does feel this way. I feel like I have 2 rooms now. I mean, at night, if I'm in here just kind of working on the computer, whatever, and okay, it's time to go to bed, get ready for bed. I shut these lights off and I go back there and I feel like I'm in another room. And this is something that, and I don't know if this is just me, or if this is a thing, because I didn't know this was a thing. I'm just giving you an example here. Apparently it's a thing that some people, and I'm going to use this, I'm just grabbing this because it's an example, but you see how like these are all like little dots? Apparently that is actually there's a thing where, I don't know if it's a phobia or what it's called, but some people, like, that will bother them, seeing a bunch of dots lined up. Like, I never even thought about that being a thing. So where I'm going with that is, I don't know if this is a thing, but when I was in the Beyond, once I put the twin beds in there, if I had a day that I didn't particularly feel like, I deal with IBS, and so there's some days I'm just, I don't know, super nauseous, don't know why, it just happens, and I deal with it. Usually I whine, but I do deal with it. But when I was in the Beyond, and I would experience that after I'd made my mod where I had the bed, on one side and my little table on the other, I would almost get a claustrophobic feeling. Like I'd be laying there and have like this little bit of an anxious claustrophobic feeling. And the only thing I can think of is it's because I felt like everything was lined up in one way, because there was the bathroom, the bed, and then of course the hallway, my desk area, dinette area, and everything was just going one, north, south. In here, because this is kind of a circular area with the two seats spun around, and then sitting here, I'm either east-west, I'm sitting facing, I guess, would you classify north-south this way? But it's a circular, because you can sit in these different seats, my galley's here, but like this is just kind of a whole functional area. Somebody's in here with me and they're sitting there, there's somebody sitting there, it's a circular kind of thing. And then the bed obviously is east-west, so I'm laying east-west. Again, I don't feel like I'm just only in one direction. So I feel like there's more movement or the ability to move around. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well. And again, this is just my perception. Everybody's mileage may vary, so I don't want to say that there's only one right way to lay out a van. It's just I'm trying to explain why this works for me. But I don't have that claustrophobic feeling. And I realized this when I was down in Austin last week. I had one day where, IBS kicked in and I was just not feeling well. So I pretty much laid in bed other than to go feed Dolly. So laying in bed, and then, if I got up and then came out to this side, again, feeling like I'm coming into a different room, I didn't feel that sense of claustrophobia, if that makes sense. And that's the only thing I can attribute it to, is that maybe it's because, I'm laying this way, east-west. If I'm sitting here, it's north-south. So I'm not tied to, just going back and forth in one, north-south only, if that makes sense, going back and forth in one direction. So that's just an observation that I've had. Sorry, my watch is beeping or dinging. So that kind of, again, goes back to the floor plan and just how I just really love this floor plan. Storage-wise, now I'm amazed at how much storage I have in here. Now, it is different storage than what I had in the Beyond. I say somewhat different. I kind of had to lay things out a little bit different, but having the pantry, huge, huge, huge. Because now, like, all those things that are in the pantry are not taking up upper cabinet space. The fact that I'm able to get my clothes in these 3 drawers back here is game changer. Like, I have not had to add any storage other than I have a little container thing up front that I keep, because I like to carry a lot of paper towels with me because I go through paper towels. So I got paper towels up front in my little storage thing. And then I have my footstool, which I had in the Beyond. And normally I keep my ice maker in here. It's one of those things I'm debating if I'm going to carry it with me or not. But I keep either my ice maker in here. I do have some miscellaneous items that don't quite fit in the cabinets are in here right now. Probably the only thing that I'm trying to figure out, and I think I might have it solved, is Misty's stuff. Now, her box, it's awesome. I keep it back in there in the garage storage and just keep the door open and she can go in and out. So that's perfect. It's her food and water that I've been trying to figure out. Sorry, it's microphone's kind of pulling. And I had gotten like little travel, well, they say they're travel ones, but they have the two bowls together. And of course, she's always getting her food in her water. So now I'm going to try two separate bowls. And I think I've found the right bowls that are going to work. So we'll see on this next trip how that works out. But storage wise, and shoes. Shoes are the other thing. I haven't figured out where to keep shoes, and part of it is I don't need to carry too many shoes with me, and I maybe carry too many shoes with me. I just need either sandals for the heat and my boots. I have boots that I like to wear when it's not hot. So if I just limit it to maybe 2, maybe 3 pairs, I think that'll solve my issue there. But outside of that, the storage has been great. Now, the sleeping area, the bed, the mattress it came with was comfortable. However, I had gotten Tochta mattresses. I should silence my watch here. There we go. I had gotten Tochta mattresses for the Beyond when I added those twin beds. And the Tochta, and I'll put a link in the description for them as well. And I don't have a discount code for them or anything. I don't get anything from them. I just love the mattress. It was so amazingly comfortable in the Beyond. It was like sleeping on a cloud that I honestly really missed it. So I did upgrade my mattress to a Tochta. And it is a little bit taller. Because the mattress that it came with was 6 inches, and the Tochta is 8 inches, but I can't really, you really can't tell the difference in height. Like it wasn't like a big deal. But what's nice about Tochta is that you can get custom cuts. So on the sides that face the back, on either side, there's like an angle, so I can get that angle cut. But it is just, it's like sleeping on a cloud. It's just so comfortable. So I did change that. Now, as far as the bathroom goes and not getting the cassette toilet, no regrets. I love the Motowell. I did a separate video, as you can see. It was filmed the same time I did this one, but I wanted to just put that out there separately because I got a lot of questions on it. But I love the Motowell. The Lavio was great. The Motowell is just much more convenient in terms of the refills, weight, moving it in and out of the shower. It's been phenomenal. And I do not miss dumping a black tank. I was really concerned about not having a black tank because I was thinking like that's the only way to go. Do not miss it at all. When it's time to dump the gray tank, I'm like, instead of using 2 gloves, now I use 1 glove just to open the thing, the thing out there, because I don't want to touch that. But the yuck factor has dropped by about 80%. Now it's just smelly gray water. Because if you don't know, gray water can get pretty smelly just from, I guess, the bacteria and whatever that between the soap, the bacteria, and if you dump your cold coffee down there or unfinished soda or whatever. And as I pointed out way back when I still had the Beyond, you still want to be cautious of what you put in your gray tank. Don't put oil, cooking oil. Wipe down. You don't want too many. Minimize the food particles, all that, to help keep your gray tank from getting really because it will get clogged and messed up and all that. So you don't want that. But yeah, just having a gray tank to dump is, love it. And the Motowell makes it even better because I'm not waiting for, a bag to fill up. I mean, I just throw the waste away as I go. I double bag it, off it goes. So yeah, definitely love that. And it also gives me more room in the shower. So no regrets there. Don't regret eliminating the cassette toilet at all. That was a good decision. I was worried about that too, because I'm like, well, we're going to learn. We're going to find out if this was a mistake. But yeah, so I'm very happy with the Neuvo. I don't have any complaints. What would I change? What don't I like? One of the things I'm thinking about changing is, and I've even mentioned to them if it's something that they could start including, is one of those thermostatic faucets in the shower, so that you can set the temp for what you want your shower, how hot you want it, and it stays at that temp. So that's something I'm thinking about changing. I don't know what else I would really change. That's kind of like the big thing. I do wish the galley counter might be a little bit longer, but in order to do that, you'd lose the pantry. So I don't know. That's not a big deal because I've got the table here if I need extra counter space. I do think I would next time, well, I hope there's not a next time, because I'd like to keep this van for a while. I would consider, though, not having the cooktop built in, only because I think it would give me a little more counter space. But also, what I've discovered, and I didn't seem to have this issue in the Beyond, but I think it's just because of where it's located versus where it was located on the Beyond. My cooktop, it's right where I set things down or put my hand on it or stuff. So it's really easy to turn the burner on and off. And I did put I finally put like a little cover over the thing, because even Misty, I'd hear it beeping constantly where she'd jump up there and it would turn on or off. Now, granted, because it is induction, it's not going to heat up if there's not a pan there. The idea of a stove top being on when you're not using it concerns me, because what if a piece of metal that is just the right for that is right for the induction, can make it heat up. So I don't, that's just concerning to me. I don't like it turning on. Not a big deal. Like I said, I put a little cover over the on off button, and I'll show that to you. And so that solved it. Other than that, I don't know what else I would really change. I like the fact that it came with all the window covers, for the front and the back windows, and they're really good too. And they're really easy to put up. So I've actually used them quite a bit. In fact, I use them all the time, as opposed to just closing the curtain. What else? I do think maybe some more lighting in here, in the fridge bathroom area. Right now I have the bathroom light on, so it is a little bit more illuminated there. But other than that, there's not really, and I've added some rechargeable lights where I've needed them. So it's not, again, not deal breakers. I love the Rixson system. I love the Victron system. I love the simplicity of the buttons, actual physical on-off buttons for the lights, for the water pump. Sometimes, technology can be really cool, but sometimes it can be annoying. And I like the fact that the light switch for a light is where I expect it to be. Like the light switch for this light is right here, The light switch for over here is over here. The water pump is right above the faucet. So it's where the button, the on-off button, is where I need it to be for the thing that I'm turning on and off, is what I'm getting at, which I really like that. I've really enjoyed it so far in these last 5 months. Like I said, really haven't had any issues. A couple minor issues that either I had corrected when I was in Vegas at the factory, or they've sent out a mobile tech, and they're really quick about getting a mobile tech out. And I like the fact that it is a mobile tech. Going to a dealer to get something fixed can be hit or miss. And by that, I've had issues where, they'll have the van for, like I had this with the Beyond. They had the Beyond for a month. That's when I was trying to get my battery situation figured out with my, it was with my regulator, second alternator issues. Finally got that figured out, but they had it for like a month. RV Tech, he's going to come to your house or your location, wherever you happen to be. He's going to figure out what it is. If you need a part, you get the part in, whatever. Your van isn't just sitting someplace that you don't have access to it. So that's my thoughts on that. But yeah, overall, I've been really happy with this van. Like I said, there's really anything that I would change, I can change myself. Like I said, with the thermostatic faucet in the bathroom, or adding some lights. Other than that, yeah, it's been great, and I'm enjoying it, and I can't wait to leave for my next trip. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and I will see you as I'm leaving for Indiana and Michigan.